I'm Oliver. I'm the lead developer on GladiEATers, the creature cooking game where you cook food and then that food transforms into powerful food creatures for you to fight your opponent's food creatures in turn-based combat. I was chatting with a friend of mine, thinking about how I wish I could go back in time and make the first premium creature battler game. They weren't listening to me at all, and as a separate point, they said that I should make a cooking game. And I misunderstood them and thought they meant a cooking creature collector game. That's a great idea, and the rest is kind of history. The world of GladiEATers sort of started off when scientists discovered the means to give food life via the Cal particle. Initially, there was war, naturally, but then after that, countries decided to deal with gladiator combat in the CALosseum, and you play as one of 7 or 8 chefs fighting each other in the CALosseum for the crown for their own personal reasons. The story is very much unique to each chef. They each have relationships with other chefs that develop as the game goes on. They have all these different reasons for being there, and that very much does come across in dialogue. You do unlock the chefs as you go, but it's very open-ended as to which one you decide to play as. You can play as any of the chefs you'll be fighting. There's no chef that's non-playable. Same goes for all the gladiators. You can cook any of the foods that you fight against. One of the most unique things about GladiEATers is the fact that you're cooking your creatures. The fact that you are sort of trying your skill at all these various bite-sized cooking minigames and trying to get better at them, and then supplementing that with commanding your gladiators in combat. So I think that jump between these two very different genres and sort of needing to be good at least one of them is really unique. As a developer, my favorite aspect of the game is the team battle system that we have, where you are bringing a team of 6 gladiators into combat, and they potentially could be against another 6, and they all fight at the same time. So what that allows is for these creatures to synergize with one another, compensate for their other strengths or weaknesses, shield them, boost them, buff them, debuff the enemy. For me as a developer that has to play the game a lot, that's my favorite part, because that's where you get to explore lots of different turn-based synergies and really craft your own sort of strategies. When it comes to balancing, there's a lot of spinning plates when it comes to making sure that everything works together, in the sense that the effect of the cooking games on your creature's stats has to have an impact, but it can't be, if you're bad at cooking games, you can't lose, right? And then additionally, you're dealing with all the same abilities that your opponent's dealing with. So it needs to be strong when the AI plays it, but also strong when you play it. I think our approach to balance is very much, as long as each ability is seeing play in each gladiator's sort of spectrum, and every gladiator sees some play, that's what we want for the balance. For every ability to have a place, and for there to be no ability that you just never use. With gladiators, we wanted every ability to have some purpose, and every gladiator has a mix of damage, utility, heal, shield. They don't just necessarily fill one role, they're very left of center in their design. Ultimately, there's so many different things that players can do, and while we might think that a certain synergy of, onion and tomatoes is really powerful, when players get it en masse, we need to see what they do and respond in turn. Maybe they discover something that we haven't thought of, or they haven't discovered something that we think counters something else. You really just need to be responsive and patching and balancing as frequently as you can, and just taking it from there. I think that's the only real way. That you can't anticipate everything, so the only real way of balancing is to be fluid with it. We've got a Discord right now where people can join and leave their feedback on the game and the various balanced or unbalanced things they see. I'm really excited for players to find their favorite gladiator or unique synergy between a few gladiators. That's going to be a really special moment, as well as a lot of the story beats that happen that fundamentally change the game, the genre, how it's played. That I'm really excited for players to hear about, because I can't tell them. I think the story mode will very much harp on games that people like, genres that people like, and it may not be obvious what those are from an initial view or the trailer, but there's definitely more than meets the eye when it comes to the core loop of the game. If you love Pokemon and or Cooking Mama, I think GladiEATers will be a game for you. There's a lot of different ways to play the game. There's point-based mode, where if you're not a fan of or just suck at cooking, you can actually spend points to build your team if you're just a pure turn-based tactics guy. Additionally, there are run modifiers where Each team has different tastes and affect your abilities and your team's passives. And I think we've gone over ranked multiplayer as well, where there's going to be a ranked leaderboard that players get to compete in for varying skill titles. All of the abilities are hand animated. There's about 200 frames of animation for every gladiator, which really brings to life all of the combat. If they're casting an ability, you don't just see the name and the effect, you actually see it happen. So that's something I'm really proud of. GladiEATers is coming to Steam in 2025. Head over to our Steam page to wishlist the game, or our Discord to chat more and hear more about me.